The floor vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court has been delayed pending FBI investigation. But will it matter? Does anything matter anymore? Jay Parks, Dyze in your house. Exclusively on East Coast Radio. One goal for the next 2 months, one goal for 2018, and that's to take back the House, and we're only going to do that by going out and voting. I mean, I know the civil rights movement didn't exactly end racism, but I thought we were further along than this. It's a known fact that the reason I don't have any friends is solely because I'm a liberal who cares about other people and doesn't want to see brown people and women suffer at the hands of old, rich, white men who have been in power for way too long. Nazis? Bad. Free press? Good. The most dangerous thing you can do is sit back and think that America has no chance of ever turning into an autocracy or some sort of authoritarian regime when you have a fascist regime on the rise right now, unchecked by Congress, which makes November the most important election of our lives. Jay Parks, East Coast Radio, Dyze in your house, Jay Parks Podcast. We must resist or we won't exist. Taking it back in November. East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. Representing Staten Island. Ayo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What is the word, peeps? What goes on? It is Friday evening, and we are back here on East Coast Radio, another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. Let me tell you what this is. This is an extra podcast because there is so much going on in the world of, the rising fascist regime in our country. And we had one podcast. It started going too long, and we decided instead of going longer, we would break it down. Because we're here to give you, no one's listening to a 4-hour podcast unless my name is Conrad Thompson. Therefore, I will bring you every Monday, you get at least a 90-minute edition of the Jay Parks Podcast, but then on Friday, and any other day of the week that something happens, we are coming to you with action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. It is a shorter podcast. It is more concise. It focuses usually on one thing. And we try to just keep your attention span a little bit. Because we don't want to hit you with 7 courses on the Jay Parks Podcast. So we'll take one course away. And also, you can always find Dyze in your house. And this month, exclusively, you can find the Jay Parks Podcast exclusively on East Coast Radio for the least heard voices. So what I need you to do is I need you to go to iTunes, I need you to go to YouTube, I need you to look for East Coast Radio. I need you to smash that subscribe button. And I need you to go to patreon.com/Jay Parks to become a East Coast Radiohead. Want to know what that entails? Well, I just told you the website, so check it out. Read. Look at a few things. I promise you there is no literature there. You will find out what I'm offering in a matter of moments. What you gotta do, go to patreon.com/Jay Parks, become a East Coast Radiohead. We are taking it back in November, and that's what every podcast is about. I'm sorry that I don't have any, stories about, watching the Jets. I'm sorry that I don't have any funny stories about New York City public transportation. I apologize that I don't have many concert stories right now. And the ones I do are up at concertconfessions.com, a website that right now is down because I don't know how to website. I broke my website. That's what I did. I broke it. And if you know what I can do, help me. I updated the plugins, and I can't get back to the website. That doesn't mean I can't get the website back the way I want it. It means when I type in concertconfessions.com, and you type in concertconfessions.com, none of us can get there. That's a problem. But the latest show I attended was Childish Gambino, This Is America tour at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. And if you go to my YouTube page, not the one that Least Coast Radio's on, I know this is very confusing, but if you go to my YouTube page, the J Porks Experience Facebook page, there's about 1,000 concert videos there. You will find videos from the Childish Gambino concert, including a video of the final 43 minutes of the show, which I took immediately following Donald Glover's proclamation that people should put down their phones. I took out my phone, and I shot that shit. Also, it's on the J Porks Facebook page. You can check it out there. Okay, it's Friday. We were supposed to come to you in the morning. My plan for Friday was to hit record on a podcast right after the Senate Judiciary Committee took their committee votes. That did not happen. Because it was supposed to be 9:30. And then I tuned in, and it was 1:30. And I had to sit there and listen to all these old white men tell the American people about how they felt bad for Dr. Ford. They believed her. But, they're not going to vote against Kavanaugh. And this whole thing's a circus. No, I'm sorry. You know what's a circus? What's a circus is what has happened to the character of people like Lindsey Graham. What happened to Lindsey Graham? I'm just dying to know what happened to that guy. Every time that guy walks down a hallway, they should be playing Shania Twain, Stand By Your Man. Because all he does is freaking stroke Trump, man. That's all he does. So today, because the Republicans, Chuck Grassley, Mitch McConnell, listen, if you don't understand the rules of the Senate and how, committee and procedure works, don't worry. I don't know much about it either, so I'm not going to school you on it, but you don't need to know about it. Because according to, the way of Mitch McConnell, the way of the chicken neck, we're going to call it, the way of the chicken neck, because of the way Mitch McConnell operates, the rules just change depending on, what mood you're in. For instance, we can't keep a Supreme Court seat open. That's a problem. Unless it's Merrick Garland, then we can keep it open for 300 days. And for some reason it mattered whose seat it was. Lindsey Graham is under the impression that Democrats didn't care that Gorsuch was taking Scalia's seat, but Kavanaugh's taking Kennedy's seat, and Kennedy's seat's the top. No. Kavanaugh and Gorsuch both clerked for Kennedy. We want them both off the Supreme Court. Me and my girlfriend threw up in our mouths a little bit when we saw that Neil Gorsuch commercial airing around his confirmation time. But you know what? When Neil Gorsuch got up in front of the committee, he didn't behave like a petulant child. He didn't behave like he was trying to win a Donald Trump-alike contest. Because that's exactly what... Revenge of the Clintons? That was a thing that a judge said? That was a thing that somebody that wants to be placed on the Supreme Court said? That this confirmation process was, quote, revenge of the Clintons? Are you joking? And here's the thing. After we spent the morning watching the bravery, the heroics of Christine Blasey Ford, after we watched the heroics of Christine Blasey Ford come forward and tell her story, indelible in the hippocampus is the laughter. She remembers getting laughed at as they left the room. She was an object of amusement for frat boys. And she came to the Senate to tell her story. And yeah, they sat and listened. But, you know, the Republican senators didn't have the gall or the respect to ask their own questions. They decided to forego their time and let a special prosecutor, a sex crimes prosecutor, interview Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, who, by the way, is not a criminal, didn't commit any sex crimes, and shouldn't be questioned by a sex crimes prosecutor. That's not making women come forward. So you had that riveting testimony. The only thing Brett Kavanaugh could have done on Wednesday to look human. Was it Wednesday? That's Thursday, I'm sorry. The only thing that Brett Kavanaugh could have done to look human on Thursday was to come out after Christine Blasey Ford testified and got on the stand and said, listen, because again, remember, he says he didn't do anything. And okay, I'm not saying throw the guy in jail. Let's find out. Let's investigate. The Republicans don't want to investigate. They don't want to investigate. The FBI doesn't do investigations like that. They're quoting Joe Biden out of context. The FBI doesn't find anything. That wasn't. You can't take one sentence out of a quote. That's how, like, religion starts, you know? You take a whole book, you take, like, 14 sentences, and those are the ones you pick and choose from. There's a whole other book. There's a whole rest of a book that nobody's paying attention to. But anyhow, the FBI doesn't come to conclusions. Yeah, but the FBI never met Christine Blasey Ford. Therefore, they could never follow up on her allegations. There are also more allegations happening. By the minute, people are coming out. Wonder why? Because dudes that go to Georgetown Prep and dudes that are in this guy's fraternity facilitate gang rape. That's the good old boys. Like, the only thing he could have done to save, not to save him, because they're still going to vote him in. The only thing he could have done to seem respectable, to seem like he actually was a human being, the only human thing to do would be, listen, guys, I want to be on the Supreme Court as much as the next person. Which is why, if the FBI just investigated this, they can see that I didn't do anything. Because again, he claims he didn't do anything. And actions speak louder than words. Way louder. It doesn't matter how loud you scream, Brett Kavanaugh. It doesn't matter how much you scream and cry and say that your daughter says pray for the girl. And you know what? This is what my next sentence is not going to be very popular. But I'm going to say it anyway. You know, I heard a lot. Like, when Christine Blasey Ford was testifying, she didn't talk about how this ruined her family and her life. All she said was how it personally affected her and how it followed her throughout her life with her anxiety and this and that. And she recently said that since this came out, she had to move, okay? Because she was being harassed by, you know, people with tiki torches and shit. The same crowd that does the tiki torches and Confederate flags, the same people that would go outside attempted rape victims' homes and harass them. Breitbart, I'm sure, was out there, along with True Pundit. But, Brett Kavanaugh's up there, my family put through this, smeared, I'll never get my name back. Brett Kavanaugh, and this is the thing that not a lot of people are going to agree with. Fuck your family. Brett Kavanaugh, fuck your name. Fuck your reputation. You attempted to rape a girl. And there is evidence that you helped facilitate gang rape and roofing broads and spiking the punch. All of these cliche things that the good old boys club does. You are suspected of doing that. So, the only way you can clear your name, it's not by sitting there saying Trumpisms, it's not by blaming Hillary Clinton, which, by the way, note, he didn't actually say Hillary Clinton, he said the Clintons, because where did he get his start in his law career? Where is that again? Oh yeah, he was working for the Ken Starr investigation. Impeaching who? Bill Clinton. Did they impeach him? No. Man of sense. And for someone to get up there and the way he was partisan, like Neil Gorsuch got up there and played a plain white piece of paper, you know? Like, and listen, I'm not a fan of Neil Gorsuch, alright? I don't get it twisted. But when they had him up there and they asked him, hey, what do you think about these comments Trump made? He's like, I don't agree with those. Like, immediately. Like, immediately was like, I'm a nonpartisan, I'm a judge, and that's what I'm a judge who's gonna judge. Brett Kavanaugh literally threatens, like, he said, you know, we'll see how it is when the shoe's on the other foot or something like that. What does that mean? Does that mean you're gonna have partisan? Does that mean you're gonna be biased in your opinions? And how about the other 8 Supreme Court justices? You're ready to welcome this guy into your fraternity? You're ready to welcome Brett Kavanaugh and his hostile attitude and his heavy drinking problems? Allegedly? So today, the committee voted. And it was 11-10 to move the vote to the floor. Jeff Flake was caucusing with Democrats for about 20 minutes into when the vote was supposed to take place at 1:30. Comes back in, and he says, I will vote to get this out of the committee, but I will not vote yes on the floor. He said, I will not feel comfortable. He did not say he will not vote yes. He said he will not feel comfortable voting yes if there isn't an FBI investigation, and he said it could take a week. Let's just pause this for a week. And you know what? That's good enough for me. Because Brett Kavanaugh has gambling debts that mysteriously disappeared. And I would like to know what happened with those. And no one on the Senate Judiciary Committee asked him about it. Maybe they're not following Spicy Files on Twitter. Maybe they're not following Greg Olear. Maybe they're not. Maybe they should, but they're not. So I would like if the FBI would figure out what happened to those gambling debts that mysteriously disappeared. And yeah, while you're at it, find out if he gang raped some broads. I'm not saying that he did. I'm saying that we don't know. And I'm saying that if you put her testimony up against his, it's not even close. I don't feel bad for any man being accused of sexual assault because too many men have sexually assaulted. So it's a common theory to think a man sexually assaulted a woman because that's what usually happens. And then this usually happens. Somebody from the good old boys club comes into the room, tells his side of the story. And then the rest of the good old boys club are like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to ruin a guy's life over something that happened 35 years ago. You're not? And again, his life would be ruined if he went back to the DC 9th Circuit? I mean, That's the second most powerful court in the land. His life would be ruined if he didn't get on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not an entitlement. It is not something you're entitled to. It is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And let me just continue on. Two things. One, if you didn't think it more than two things, it's an ongoing weekly podcast where I have several things. So if I ever say one thing, two things, it's never actually those things. It's more than that. Lindsey Graham said a lot of things. He said he feels bad for the Dems the next time there's a confirmation hearing, because he said there's going to be a standard, the pre-Kavanaugh and post-Kavanaugh standard. I can't wait. You know what there used to be, Lindsey Graham? There used to be 60 votes, but the chicken neck messiah got rid of that. Now it's nuclear. You really trust you guys are going to hold the House, the Senate? My personal belief is that the Democrats don't have the math to take control of the Senate. That's my belief. That's just my prediction. But you know what? I am doubling down on my Get Out the Vote campaign, because Lindsey Graham said something today that freaked me the hell out. And he said, when, in the next Congress, when, he said that the next chair of this committee is me. Guys, South Carolina, if there was ever a reason to go out and vote, if there was ever a reason to write your senator, now is the time. Lindsey Graham chairing that Judiciary Committee? Oh man, you thought Grassley was bad? Oh boy. The #1 Trump defender is going to be on the committee that names judges. Now, was this... now you start to think, did Trump did Trump actually want this? Or did he just want to appoint judges so, there would be so many judges appointed that everybody that sues him, he'll run into some judge he appointed who swore loyalty to him? But another thing that was discovered today or yesterday, I found out about it this week. I did not know that you could impeach somebody off the Supreme Court. And this morning, early Friday morning, Axios was breaking a story that top Democratic strategists have already said that impeaching Brett Kavanaugh off the Supreme Court is going to be the #1, is already shot to the top of the list of things that the Democrats in 2020 are going to be talking about. They also said, that same source also said that impeachment of Clarence Thomas is in play as well. Boom. So, Lindsey Graham, you better hope you guys hold on to the Senate. Because you guys changed the rules to benefit the Republicans in a 2-year span where they had a 1-vote margin, basically. 1 vote. They had a 1-vote margin, a 1-vote majority, and they changed the rules forever. Forever they changed the rules so that they can pass stuff in this little 2-year pocket. Strategist Jonathan Swan says Republicans are willing to give up the Senate for 2 or 3 cycles to get Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. Have fun getting him on. We're going to get him off. And if, listen. I understand that in impeachment, that the last time they tried to impeach a Supreme Court justice was the 1800s and it failed. So it's not something that's common. It's something that's unprecedented. And that's what these times are about. Impeaching a Supreme Court justice is not normal. The whole process in which this came about isn't normal. The Republicans accepting being complicit active measures is not normal. Jamming through this Supreme Court justice when you got at least 2 more years to name him is not normal. And ignoring women's allegations is just not normal. J Porks. Dyze in your house.